From Jason Miller getting arrested 15 times to Jared Wyatt eating other human beings, here are some UFC fighters who have criminal records. Let's kick this off with Jason Miller. This guy seems to have a knack for getting into trouble with the law. It all started back in 2011, and since then, he's been arrested 15 times. One time he got in trouble for hurting someone in Los Angeles. It happened late at night when a woman called the police saying he'd attacked her. When the cops showed up, they found her with bruises on her face and neck. But here's the crazy part. When they tried to arrest Jason, he put up a big fight. The police had to zap him with a taser to get him under control. Ouch. He ended up in the hospital for some treatment and then got sent off to the police station. This guy just can't seem to stay out of trouble. But that's not all. Jason's had quite a reputation, both in and out of the fighting cage. He's been known for causing chaos and making headlines. And it started even before his first arrest, when he got into a huge fight with some folks after interrupting an interview and demanding a rematch at a Strikeforce event. Those guys really gave him a beating inside the cage. But Jason's been in trouble for other things too, like sneaking into places he shouldn't be, hurting people close to him, ignoring the law, driving under the influence, stealing cars, vandalizing stuff, and more. It's like he's collecting a whole list of naughty deeds. But he's not the only guy in the sport to pull stunts like that. War Machine was also into this stuff. Back in 2014, things took a dark turn when War Machine brutally attacked his ex-girlfriend, Christy Mack, in her Las Vegas home. Not only did he beat her up, but he also kidnapped and assaulted her. Christy suffered severe injuries, including a fractured eye socket, a broken nose, ribs, and even lost teeth. It's heartbreaking. Before this awful incident, War Machine had a career in the fighting world. He competed for both the UFC and Bellator, and he even had some notable victories, like defeating MMA veteran Roger Huerta. His last fight took place in 2013, where he showed his skills in the octagon. Out of his 19 mixed martial arts fights, he won 14 of them. But unfortunately, his violent tendencies extended beyond the ring. He got into trouble before for attacking a man, punching him, and choking him until he lost consciousness during a parking lot brawl. For that, he received 3-year probation and had to do 30 days of community service. I mean, it's clear he had a history of violence. But War Machine's behavior also got him into trouble at bars. He spent a year in jail for a brawl that took place at a Point Loma bar. And there was another fight at a Pacific Beach bar. His actions were so infamous that he was even kicked out of the UFC. He finds himself in prison these days, awaiting trial for more charges. He even tried to take his own life, which delayed the court proceedings. So the earliest possible release date for him is way off in 2053. And if you hate him for all of that, you're probably gonna despise Cain Velasquez too. So back in February 2022, Cain, who used to be a heavyweight champion in the UFC, did something really horrible. He believed that someone had abused his 4-year-old relative at a daycare center where he himself was a client. A normal human would have reached out to the authorities, but what did Cain do? Well, he went all out in pursuit of justice. He got into a crazy car chase that spanned 11 miles through the streets of San Jose, California. And get this, he even had a .40 caliber handgun with him. During the chase, he fired multiple shots at the car he believed belonged to the person responsible for the incident. Unfortunately, things took a wrong turn, and the stepfather of the person Cain was after got injured. But thankfully, the injuries weren't life-threatening. Still, it was a real mess. Cain found himself behind bars because of this chaos, and they didn't even grant him bail. Yep, they denied it not just once, but 3 times. The charges against him were super serious too. He was facing attempted murder, premeditated murder, and a bunch of other gun-related charges. It's just such a shame to see a former UFC champ like him caught up in all this trouble. But, you know, the legal process will run its course, and we'll see how it all plays out. And just like Cain, there was also Chael Sonnen. In December 2021, things took a crazy turn for Chael in Las Vegas. He was arrested and hit with 11 counts of battery, with one of those counts being for strangulation. Yeah, it was pretty intense. Apparently, Chael was accused of assaulting not just one couple, but also 2 other guests, some security guards, and even a brave soul who tried to intervene and stop the chaos. It's like he went on a rampage. The couple claimed that the attack was completely unprovoked. They were caught off guard and genuinely feared for their lives during the incident. It must have been a truly terrifying experience for them. But here's where things get worse. Sonnen, in his defense, conveniently revealed that he couldn't remember a single thing about the incident. Why? Well, he says he'd taken an Ambien earlier in the day, which is a sleeping pill known to cause memory loss. Quite the coincidence, don't you think? And while we're on the subject of crazy UFC fighters, let's quickly talk about Jeremy Jackson. The former UFC welterweight and participant on the Ultimate Fighter 4 reality show has been handed a sentence of 25 years to life for a heinous crime, sexual assault. The chaos surrounding Jackson actually started back when he was a contestant on the Ultimate Fighter 4. The show's president, Dana White, had to kick him off because he broke the rules by leaving the fighter house to meet a woman. That's a big no-no, and it got him in hot waters. But things took an even darker turn in June 2008 when Jackson was arrested. He was charged with 7 felony offenses, including 2 counts of forcible assault. I mean, those are some very serious charges, but that's not even the tip of the iceberg. Fast forward to 2010, and Jackson pleaded guilty to the charges. He admitted to abusing his ex-girlfriend at gunpoint during an attempted robbery. What's really strange about this incident, though, is that even after pleading guilty, Jackson's lawyer, Russell Baker, continued to claim his client's innocence. He argued that Jackson was mentally broken down. Sure, it's a weird defense, but hey, the lawyer's got to earn his bag somehow too. Sadly for Jeremy, though, the legal system has spoken, and he faces a lengthy prison sentence. And apparently, these men seem to have one common victim: the women in their lives. Cody East's in the same boat. A former UFC fighter, he's had a troubling history with the law. In 2006, he was arrested for assaulting a police officer. In 2008, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for child abuse and battery. In 2016, he faced felony charges, but they were dropped due to missing witnesses. Later, in March 2022, he was arrested again for false imprisonment, child abuse, and battery after a physical altercation with his wife. These incidents raise serious concerns about his actions and the well-being of those involved. And finally, saving the best, or should I say the worst for the last, here's what Jared Wyatt did. Now, before I begin, I suggest you hold on to your stomach because this story's going to make you lose your appetite. I mean, this was truly horrifying. Jared Wyatt was a promising fighter whose career was cut short after committing an insane crime. Okay, so back in 2010, Wyatt and his friend Taylor Powell decided to do something really foolish. They thought it'd be a good idea to munch on some hallucinogenic mushrooms. Well, let's just say those mushrooms took them on a trip they never expected. As their minds were completely altered, Wyatt started to believe that he was locked in a battle against none other than Satan himself. In his distorted state, he did the unimaginable. He actually tore off Powell's face and tongue, yanked out his still-beating heart from his chest, and incredibly enough, proceeded to grill those body parts. And that, kids, is why you shouldn't do drugs. I know, it's beyond disturbing. The shocking part is that Wyatt ended up pleading guilty to murder for these unspeakable acts. And for this, he was sentenced to 50 years to life behind bars. It's a crime that left everyone speechless, because there really are no words to fully capture the horror of what took place. So there you have it. From Jared Wyatt eating other human beings to Jason Miller getting arrested 15 times. Those were some UFC fighters who have criminal records.